What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. So the Clippers definitely need to shake up their starting lineup, and they definitely need to do it in a way where it's going to benefit them, especially if they're playing without Paul George. Who knows how many games, but even if Paul George doesn't play with the next few games, I think they need to shake it up to where Kawhi Leonard doesn't need to be at the power forward position. I just think it really takes a lot more out of him physically, mentally, because he's going to be switched off at times between the power forward of the other team and the center sometime, and he's kind of caught on an island. Even though Kawhi is one of the best defenders we ever seen, you definitely need his offense to be at the top of its game so you can get more offensive output from him, especially when you lose one of your key cogs and one of your key players, key scorers, and also key defenders in Paul George. So, I mean, you have to kind of make sure it's right in that area. So if I were Ty Lue, maybe I would try something like, definitely have James Harden at the 1. You can throw T-Man at the 2, Kawhi Leonard at the 3, put Daniel Theis at the 4 at the power forward position, and then you could leave Zubac at the 5. Because, see, that way it may sound a little awkward to you, but see, if you look at it from this perspective, at least that way you will have your power forward, even though he's more of a banger in the paint and he can kind of maybe not protect the paint with Zubac, but I mean, he can kind of switch off between Zubac and him of guarding the other team's 5. But you got an extra shooter on the floor because, see, Daniel Theis, he will knock down threes. And as I said before, if you give him 2 out of 5, he's going to hit maybe about, he can hit 2 out of 5 threes if given the opportunity. So, I mean, you have somebody that can shoot from perimeter. You have somebody that can go in the paint and be another big body in the paint. And, he can be physical at times, too. So he can kind of give them a little bit different of a presence. And it'll allow Kawhi Leonard to be at the small forward position so he can, maybe switch off between the small forward and the shooting guard on the other team, in which Kawhi is great at, making, steals and, disrupting what a defense does. Especially he plays a lot better at that, especially when he plays the 3 position rather than the 4 position, because he's more versatile in what he can do. He can kind of leave his assignment at times and maybe go for a steal, run back to his assignment, keep going and keep the defense going that way, especially with an extra big man on the floor. But on the offensive end, as I said, Daniel Theis would be valuable because he can knock down threes as well. So when you think about that, that might actually bode well for the Clippers. And then, Ty Lue, I know he wants to go with this PJ Tucker situation. I'm not really too sure about that. But, I mean, either way, I personally think that might be the best lineup. And if you're looking at who they're playing tonight against the Lakers, I mean, Anthony Davis is a big man, of course, playing the 5 position, but he can knock down threes. So that kind of offsets what the Clippers have in Zubac, because he can't shoot the way Anthony Davis can. But if you have Daniel Theis in the lineup, if Anthony Davis hits 2 out of 5 threes, well, you have somebody in the starting lineup that can do the same thing. So, I mean, it may kind of offset what they do. And having Daniel Theis on the floor, it'll make some of the Lakers bigs or other teams' bigs have to come out to the perimeter and try to guard Daniel Theis. And if somebody's cutting to the basket, like Kawhi or, maybe even James Harden, somebody like that, or maybe even Terrence Mann, that's an easy 2 points, because they have to respect Daniel Theis from the 3-point line because he can shoot decently from the 3-point line. And so you got to kind of offset it like that, especially when you're missing somebody like Paul George, who can do a lot of things offensively for you, and you don't have him at this current time. So, I mean, with that being said, hopefully Ty Lue makes the right decision and kind of make these adjustments happen, because they're going to need to make them happen, because if they don't, they're going to find themselves in situations where, they might be trying to go too much small ball. And as I said before, when that jump shot isn't falling, when those threes aren't just falling every single time you shoot, that small ball hurts you in the long run, especially if you're playing a team with more size and they utilize their size to their advantage. And a team like the Lakers, Anthony Davis is always utilized to his advantage, because he's going to take a couple 3-pointers a game. He's going to score in the paint. He's going to be effective in both ways. So it's like you have to have somebody versatile that can do the same thing. And Daniel Theis, that's what he's here for in regards to your big men. But either way, we got to see what Ty Lue does and see what kind of, adjustments he's going to make, and how he's going to go about doing this, because as I said before, the Clippers, they can't keep losing games. They can't they can't be no excuses at this point in time of the season. You got to be playing your best basketball, whether somebody's missing or not. It just does not matter. You just have to kind of go with it and make the best of it. And Paul George is one of those players that's really streaky. So I mean, it could have been a game where Paul George might not have put up a lot of points. So when you think about it from that perspective, you still need more offensive output. The last few games, Paul George hasn't really been putting up a lot of points anyway. So, you definitely need some shakeup somewhere. You need to get some more scoring out of somebody else. And it's going to be like that at times, because that's just the way it is when you're playing all these games. It's a team sport. Everybody has to contribute, and you got to put players in the right position to contribute at their best. And somebody like Daniel Theis, yeah, you didn't have to do much to get him, but the value that he can bring to this team, because he can stretch the floor, and because, like I said, he can bang in the paint a little, because he's kind of like a tough guy, I would say. It kind of gives you the best of both worlds with a big man like that. Now, of course, as I said, Anthony Davis is going to probably do his thing, and the Lakers going to throw all them bigs at the Clippers, but the Clippers have a few bigs that they can throw at the Lakers too, and Daniel Theis kind of offsets it because he can shoot. So, like I said, the starting lineup to me in tonight's game, and maybe even going forward, if Paul George is not going to be there, like I said, I would go with Harden at the 1, T-Man at the 2, Kawhi at the 3, Theis at the 4, and Zubac at the 5. And in some nights you might actually, depending on who you're playing against, if depending on the other team having a big man is a little bit more physical, sometimes you may even go with Plumlee, to start sometimes, because Plumlee is he could be very physical himself, and he can't back him down and score the way Zubac can, but sometimes that's not what you really need out of Zubac. You really just need him to be in there and be a banger and be aggressive and let the other team know he's got a presence in the paint. It's not going to be easy tonight. That's just the way it is. So you need that sometime from Zubac, and you don't get that from him at times, but it's okay. As I said before, we'll see what the starting lineup is, but regardless of whatever the starting lineup is going forward, Kawhi does not need to be at the 4. He needs to be at the 3 position, because that's where he thrives at the most. That's where he gets the most steals. That's where he disrupts the game the most, and that's where his defense, allows him to actually, take over games. I mean, it's always been throughout his career. The 3 position is where he thrives at the most. You could put him at the 4, of course, but at the same time, if you want the best out of him, utilize your other pieces around him as a centerpiece defensively, which will help you win games and possibly put you in better position to win games.